Awesome. So I wanted to welcome everyone. My name is Rob Koenig. I'm one of the owners here at the Holistic Center for Soulful Living. So thank you. Thank you all for making time to be here with us today and to welcome Karen Garvey to this center. Obviously, no one has any interest in what Karen has to say. In all seriousness, we're so thrilled with the turnout, and I just wanted to say, beyond being an owner at the Holistic Center for Soulful Living, I am a Karen Garvey fan, okay? And I just have to say really briefly, you know, when I stepped onto the road of my own spiritual journey, one of the first things that came across my path was this recommendation to check out Karen Garvey. And I don't know if this relates to any of you, but my first introduction was checking out some things on YouTube, because Karen does appear in a variety of forms on YouTube. And I remember listening to her speak and being really moved and inspired by her message and her clarity. And from there, I took the next step and I got some of her books. And then my wife gifted me an individual private session with Karen. And I wanted to share really briefly, it's something very magical, I believe. So this was about 4 or 5 years ago. This center has been here for about 2.5 years, so we're still pretty new on the scene. And so I don't know if Karen doesn't remember this because she meets with people all over the place, but when I met with Karen, one of the things that she saw for me down my road was the creation of a space like this. And so she had so much clarity for me on this vision that she actually, and I brought it with me. You ready for this? This is a piece of paper that she wrote on during my session. And so Karen actually had a vision of what this space might look like. And she made a very rudimentary drawing. I don't know if you can see it, but do you see that circle with a little circle in the middle? It's like a hub with a spoke, with spokes and a little circle in the middle. Well, she said, I see a space where that little circle in the middle is a gathering space. And around it, so those hubs, she goes, I see offices all around that gathering space. Ladies and gentlemen, you're sitting in this drawing right now. So I just think that is so, you know, I'm so glad that I saved this. And with Karen coming today, I said, I've got to find this, and I did. I found it this morning, and I just wanted to share with you, you know, I am so appreciative for the vision that Karen helped share with me those years ago that did come to fruition. And I'm so appreciative for Karen and for all of you. So I don't want to take any more of your time. You came here to see Karen, so I think we're almost ready for Karen, right? So, thank you, everybody.
I'll be same as well. All right, here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give it up for Karen Garvey. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Wow, what a beautiful crowd. So good. Is this okay? You can hear me good? Well, you can hear me well. We're not off to a good start. I'm really so happy to see everybody. Anyway, welcome. Welcome to my 8th annual, the year before us. It's been a lot of fun for me to look back on the last, is this my 8th annual or 7th? It's been a lot of fun to look back on all of the years before us and see what the content was, because the most amazing thing is that I don't plan what will happen at each year before us, and I don't have a lot of information in advance of what we'll talk about that upcoming year. But when I look back at the content, every single thing that came through on those days has actually happened. So this series of events that I give is one of the things that boosts my confidence the most in understanding that I am a channel and I don't have to prepare for knowing things in advance, because I've seen now that if I just keep trusting the process, it always works. You know, my batteries can't run out. There's always more information. I always find that annually, when I leave this event, I tend to feel like I exhausted all of the information in the universe. There's nothing left. And I go home and I feel really good about whatever came through. But I don't feel good about the fact that I have to retire because I said it all and there's really nothing left. And then year after year after year, I find that, no, we're not finished. As a matter of fact, the next seminar that I give, which will be during this week, of course, all the new content will arise, and it's absolutely astounding that there's actually so much to know and to prepare ourselves for and to understand and to explore and to be. You know, we think that life is short, but if you really delve in, you see that all of the experiences that we get to have and be a part of here, if you really glance through them, you see that life is really not that short if you pay attention and you embrace it and you enter into that space with pleasure and with your whole being. Okay, so what I want to say is this was a very unusual year for me in that I said I don't get content for a year before us until I'm standing here or whatever I need to prepare in advance in way of handout. But this year I started to get hints from the guides back in September about the year 2019. And that was really unusual. And I understood at the time, and I'm increasingly understanding, it's because one of the messages that I am getting frequently is one of the things that we've really been doing since 2012, since 2000, since 2001, since the 60s, since whenever, is we're preparing for a period on Earth when the good begins to really outshine the negative. And we've been in prep for this. I know if you guys are watching the news, you're not going to have the same version of reality that I have. Because the news is only designed to report that which it is we detest or we reject or makes us unhappy or feel limited. But if you're not one who immerses yourself in watching the news and you really pay attention to what's going on here on Earth, or if the news that you watch is on my Facebook page called Piece It Together, then what you see is that humanity is expanding in its ability to be kind, to be judgment-free, to be accepting. Those small pockets that create a lot of noise, they are shrinking, they are not growing, okay? And when we have periods where things are so polarized on opposite extremes, as appears to be in our country today, the polarization is necessary. It's necessary. So don't see it as us heading in the wrong direction. What the polarization does for us is it allows us to see that which it is we cannot tolerate, to see that which it is we cannot accept, to see how to find that space in our heart and our being that we can feel our own soul shine and sense the shining soul in everybody else. So we need to move so far away from that vibration to want to increasingly move toward that vibration. And the process of enlightenment, these years and decades of getting to the place where we can welcome this in more and encourage it and allow it to flourish, that process is something we've all been learning about or rediscovering. We're not learning, we're rediscovering. We're opening up that which it is we knew before we were born. When we find that core, that seed of truth, that seed of wisdom, when we find that, then we begin to be who we were meant to be, which is souls having a physical experience. Not humans carrying all of the sludge of anything that was presented to us since we were born. And what I was saying about looking at reviewing all the year before us is that we've had already, is that this content has been giving you techniques to get to that soul. And year after year after year, the guides are saying, try this, try this, try this, try this. Here's the value, here's the benefit. Do this, do this, do this, do this. So they gave you basically a textbook on the process of enlightenment. So the point here is what I heard starting in September. There's no more dress rehearsals. We're done. All that information is there. If you weren't at those events or you haven't read a great book that you feel is coming from a source of love, if you haven't seen a speaker that you feel is connected and can give you wisdom of the universe instead of just a moment of pleasure here, if you haven't done any of that, it doesn't matter because all of that information is there. Find a source that you trust. Find a source that makes you feel better than you did before you found the source, because that's resonating with you. If it makes you feel depleted or angry or separate, it's not the source. If it makes you feel powerful and optimistic and full of possibility, it is the source. So I'm not saying you should have been here for those other 7 years, but you should have been. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that all that information is still there for you. And we're going to review a lot of it just by the nature of what we'll talk about today. So you kind of get a speed course in it. But it's still available even if you had not been able to attain the knowledge, open up the wisdom within you, and integrate it into your being and your lens of perception of how you see the world and yourself. The dress rehearsal is over. We don't have any more time to be complaining. We don't have any more time to say, this is wrong, this is bad, this will never be better, this sucks, I'm fat, you're ugly, you're stupid, you ignored me on Christmas. We're done. We're done. We're done. We know better. We actually know better than all of this. We know better than to stay in a perpetual wheel of misery and negativity, or to encourage other people to do the same. We know better. We know better. You might not know better if you're not in this room, because maybe you haven't been drawn to witness or experience or unlock this knowingness within you. But the fact that you're here today is a testament to the fact that you know more. You know more than most people do. You just do. So if we can't get you guys to say, no more dress rehearsal, I'm going to be what I know I can be, how are we supposed to go out and help others do the same thing? You guys, you're it. Look around. Look who's sitting next to you. You're it. You're it. You're it. You can still grow. You can still feel pain. You can still have challenges. We're not asking for any perfection whatsoever. I'm not perfect. No one on this planet is perfect. No one wants to be perfect because you don't exist. There's no such thing as perfection. But we can say, I know enough to amp up that which it is I will be on this planet. We can say that collectively today, and we can continue to say that. 2020 and on is going to bring in a very, very, very unique energy. And we're heading toward it rapidly. The process of enlightenment for humanity is exponentially increasing. It's accelerating. So how fast new waves of energy come in is going to be mind-blowing. Think about that. I would say let's take a point in our recent history and look what was going on the planet. Like let's take 2000 just to be, arbitrary. In the year 2000, if you were to be able to get your hands on Yellow Pages, how many yoga centers would there be? How many holistic centers would there be? How many places like the Holistic Center for Soulful Living would there be? How many places would be helping us to connect our mind and our bodies and our spirits? There were pockets,
Very few.
but there were few. And it wasn't mainstream. You were considered to be woo woo. You're the psychic in the room. Come on up. It would be considered to be woo woo. Absolutely. I know when I went from corporate America and I came out to say I was doing this instead, which I'd never heard of, I was so nervous that people were going to think I was crazy. Crazy, because this seemed crazy. Wonderfully crazy, but crazy to me. But that was 10 years ago. Look how far we've gone. This is why we don't let me speak on elevated stages anymore. I have to step back. We've decided that that's not healthy for anybody. It's just not. All right, so there's some things I don't do as well as I used to anymore, but that's okay. I think it's worth it. Okay. So where was I? Where was I? You picked up my marker. So how far we've come. Yeah, so how far we've come, it's amazing that I can be listened to and not laughed at by a much, 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 much larger percentage of the population today than I could have been 10 years ago. I was really on that edge. I was jumping off cliffs that other people were like, whoa, wait, stop, you know. It was good, but I don't know, I don't think I understand, or you're going too fast, or I just don't get it. They could feel that there was something there, but many, many, many more people just couldn't understand some of these concepts yet. So we have changed so much. Humanity has already changed so much. Things that I was talking about that were novel back in the late 2000s, they're now mainstream, so much so that you hear people talking about it all the time. If you were to actually watch a few advertisements, which I actually do sometimes only during football, and I only watch football if my family needs me to be there for the benefit of the team that they're rooting for, okay? That usually works out pretty well, okay? I'm just saying, so.
You haven't been in New York for a while, huh?
Well, let's say I walk back out of the room too often. Let's say that. Let's put it that way, okay? I have to stay in the room a little more. So anyway, now, like if you even watch some of those commercials, they have all of this positivity in them. They're filled with spirituality. They're filled with families pouring orange juice, and they're, you know, dropping all these sentences that when I said them a decade ago, everybody's like, ah, really? Okay, you're sweet. And now it's like they're adding it into the dialogue of ways that they want to sell products. That's big, because they hear it and they know you want it. And you do want it because you know it's true, because it resonates with you. You want to be happy. You want to be whole. You want to realize that we are one. You want to be accepting and loving and appreciative. You want to be grateful. You want to drive. What cars do they want us to drive? They want us to drive every car. But you can see it, and it's in so many arenas, not just commercials. And that's a good way for us to understand and accept that the things that it is that our guides are saying about us moving toward a higher place is true. So don't look for where we are separating from it. Like I said, it's a necessary part of the process. A necessary part of the process. I just want to take a second to I should have done this in the beginning, but I'm appreciative that Stryker mentioned that we have the bidding for 2 of the winners for the art contest. The one other person that is coming, he's coming from North Carolina, and he was on the train in Huntington, got off the train with his friend, and went back to Penn. So his artwork is with him. He brought it all the way from North Carolina to also auction off today. If any of you do remember it from Facebook, it was the one that said, "Evolve with love staring at you in the face." Okay? So he's making his way here. The artwork will arrive. So we're going to be, they will get here. I just want you to be really appreciative and celebrate that pilgrimage they have made. His friend is doing the same trek, but from Detroit. So we want to really be kind and appreciative of them and make sure that no matter what time they walk in, we'll make a couple of seats and make them feel like they were welcome, because that's a heck of a journey, okay? But we don't have the artwork to demonstrate for you to be able to put your bids on it. The sheet is out there and the artwork will arrive. We'll just figure it out and we'll wing it. But I really loved that participation that we had from the artists themselves that contributed to the contest for the year before us. I know Diane is here. Diane? Oh, there she is, the winner. The winner who got the most votes. so appreciative of the artists, but I'm really appreciative of all of you too who voted. We had so many votes, so many more than we thought we would have, and that was really fabulous to see. It's so nice to see everybody supporting each other. So I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. Okay. All right, so getting back to this. In no way is anyone going to tell you that you have to be perfect. And there's no way that you're supposed to be beating yourself up if you wake up sad or angry or depleted almost every morning. It's okay. We're all striving to get rid of all the sludge that we've picked up on Earth. We're all striving for that. But if you're really wanting to know that you're a part of the big picture where we're moving toward, then the key is that after you have those experiences of doubt or fear or separation, that you know that there are tools available to you to use, and you use those tools. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to arm you with tools. Yay. I have so many tools that some of you are going to run out of here and say, I thought I graduated a really long time ago and school was over. But school's not over because I'm going to give you a ton to do in this year. And the reason is, number one, to review all of the information I've brought through in the years before us. Number two is to make sure that you feel confident that you're on the page you want to be as we bring in the era that, era? What do you say? Era? Era? All right, that word, E-R-A, that's coming with era, that we have coming with 2020. I want you to feel confident that you are prepared. So what this really is, what we'll be giving you, I do that all the time. But, all right, so what your guides and I will be giving you is preparedness. So when 2020 hits, you're going to be the one out front. You're going to be the one helping. You're going to be the one guiding. You're going to be the compassionate one. You're going to be the one giving suggestions or ideas to others as they're tripping and falling or being sad or being sick or being angry or whatever it is that they're being, whatever circles they're looping in. You're going to be the one that can be of value to them, because some of these tools are going to be reminders, but a lot of them are going to be like, oh, you know what? That's a good thing to take a look at. And to make life easier for you, or harder, whichever way you want to look at it, I have for you 52 suggestions. 52! 52. So that means, mark your calendar, when we are on a plane on our way to Grenada next January, every one of you will have understood to the best of your ability those 52 steps. Okay? I think I have this idea that somehow, some way, we're going to have a plane that's taking us down there. How does that sound? Like a luxury plane. But if not, each of us, oh, Newark, oh, Kennedy, oh, here, oh, there, wherever we're coming from, you're going to have that list of 52 with you. And do some last minute work on the plane. Okay? Last minute work on the plane. You got a 4-hour flight, I don't know what it is, but you can get it done. Hey, you know, Mark coming from North Carolina, his flight will be so much faster, right? He has it easy. You really better get this done before then. So on our way to Grenada, we're going to look over those lists and say, okay, I skipped this week, I skipped this week, I skipped this week. Let me give myself a really quick crash course on remembering this. So you have 52 weeks now. The dress rehearsal's over. You take these 52 weeks because we're going on stage in 2020, January. Are we all in?
Yes.
Yep. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. We're all in. We're all in. We're all in. You did get a flyer. This will be my first time not doing the live Year Before Us event locally or in the tri-state area. So if you would like to be a part of the Year Before Us 2020, I'll be in Grenada. I do have some connections there. So we're going to do Grenada in the way that we want to do it. We're not going as tourists. So if you want to see Grenada as a tourist, you'll have to go before or after. We're going as people who love those who live and experience and develop and create the country of Grenada, okay? And so what we will do is we'll be having many, many seminars during our trip, not so many that it detracts from the setting for you. And then we'll be off having adventure after adventure after adventure. And maybe I'll quiz you on your 52. Maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see, right? We'll see. And that's what we're going to focus on today is the 52. So basically, what you're being asked to do is you will get a download of the 52 steps. It'll be emailed to each and every one of you. If for any reason we don't have your email address, make sure that you give it to someone here before you leave. But you will get an email of the 52 steps that we're going to go over today. And you can cut them, slice them, make them bigger, do whatever it is that you want to do to just remind yourself each week to pull up a new one. And just try to keep it somewhere that you can see it, because it's a very small thing to do, to just leave that there each week. It's for your benefit. And it's for all of the world's benefit, because as you individually nail these 52 possibilities, or at least become more accustomed to thinking in the way that the 52 steps will ask you to, then you're going to become a happier person. You're going to be more aligned with your soulfulness. You're going to be more of who it is that you want to be. And if you listen to the steps today and you feel that you know a lot of them or you live like that, take a moment to congratulate yourself. Part of growing and part of becoming more of the soul that you were meant to be is to not judge yourself. Don't be self-critical. You can say, oh, that's so cool, I didn't know that, or I thought I knew it, but let me amp it up again. There's ways of telling you yourself that maybe I could pay a little bit more attention here with saying something like, I knew that and I never do it, oh, I can't believe it, I'm so far behind, or, you know, don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. It's about finding reasons and ways, always, to congratulate yourself, to say you did a good job, to say that you're important and that you're wonderful, and that you're wonderful exactly where you are. Wherever you're going tomorrow, great. But where you are today is wonderful. You are enough. You are fully 100% enough. Okay? All right, so I could probably talk on and on and on now for days. I could probably talk on and on until the year before us, 2020. Now, the one thing that I did get from your guides was the 52 steps, because that would be hard for me to channel here in front of you. But before I get to the 52 steps, does everybody know something that I do always get for the year before us each year? What do I get?
The word.
The word. The word. The word. Would you guys like to know the word, or should I wait? Or you want to hear it now? There's one person in the room other than me that knows the word. You. Oh, I told you both? I told you both. Oh, yes, of course, I told both of you. Okay. Samantha, Leah, and Darian will know. They've known the word for, I gave them a little more time than I usually give to our musicians because pressure. But they're the only two people on this planet that know the word. So do I leave it to you to tell, or do I tell it?
Pressure.
Can you tell? You can tell it in the song.
You can tell them the song.
Sing it. Yeah.
You think they'll figure it out?
Yeah.
Should we do that?
Yeah.
Better than the song?
Maybe. That's an interesting word.
Yeah. It is an interesting word. And I have to tell you, it surprised me. When I first got it, I'm like, is that? Yeah. It's like, you know, I had to contemplate it, right? Did you guys do the same thing?
Yes.
And then I sat with it, and then I started to get messages about it, and I'm like, that is a great word. That is a great word. I would not have chosen it. I don't think anyone in this room would have chosen it, but it is a very, very meaningful word when you really start to contemplate it. Yeah. All right, so we'll just wait on that one. Oh, you know what? Maybe we should give that word next year in Grenada.
No.
All right, so we'll wait on that a little bit longer, the word of the day, the word of the year. I do want to start digging into our 52 steps. How does that sound? Okay, we got a lot ahead of us. And like I said, I was fortunate enough to get the 52 steps. Huh? Here's how easy we're going to make this for you. They're listed in alphabetical order. So you will have 52 alphabetized ways to approach your discovery for the week. Okay, I'll let you get a quick glance. Don't read it. See. A through Z. My intention is to go in order, but I don't really know what will happen. We'll see. We'll see what happens. The interesting thing about the tools that they gave me for you is that some of them are very, very lighthearted, and some of them are incredibly dense. So I really don't know how much time it's going to take us to get through here. But I can tell you that each one is meaningful. Each one is purposeful, and there's no real superfluous throwaway one. So somehow it does feel like this might be our personal ABCs on the path of enlightenment. Not exactly always how to get there, but at least how to set the intention. Okay? We're good? All right, I want
Are you streaming this, or is it gonna?
it's being recorded.
So we'll get also a. Video?
Yes. I don't know.
You don't know.
Do they? I don't know. Oh, you'll get an email. Yes. 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 It's being recorded. I need a sip of water, which is the one thing I usually give up for 3 hours. So today I'm going to try to remember. You guys all have to watch me. I really don't stare you down when you take a sip of water. You know, wouldn't that be like the best trigger for me to like, you know, spill the water all over me? Okay. The way this is set up is that we're going to, did I do that? I did that, right?
It's been doing.
It's been doing that?
Whole time.
Oh, really? Oh.
I'm not sure we need it.
Oh, should we turn it off?
I mean, I'm in the front, so I don't want to speak for people in the back, but I think we
All right,
can
let's
hear
try
you
it.
without it.
I didn't hear it until a second. All right, is it off? Yes? Yeah. Okay, can you hear me in the back?
Yes, I can.
Randy? Yes. If Randy's good, we're all good. Huh? And Randy, if at any moment you can't hear me, raise your hand wildly so that I know, okay? Make a spectacle of yourself so I can take water and everyone can be looking at you. All right, so what we're going to be doing seriously, really? All right, what we're going to be doing with these 52 steps is we're going to look in terms of moving away from something and moving toward something. Okay, so the whole premise is what do we want to move away from and what do we want to move toward? So the first two in the letter A is we want to move away from aggravation. And I don't mean that in terms of eliminate everything aggravating in your life. But we want to move away from aggravation and we want to move towards acceptance. Okay? So what that means is that no one's going to be perfect in your eyes. No one's going to do everything that you would like them to do. There's no one that's going to suit you in that way. There's always going to be some kinds of irritants, some things like, really, come on, can't you do better? Can't you be kinder? Can't you be wiser? Can't you be anything? So we tend to get aggravated by people when they're not living up to the level of awareness that we would prefer they live at. So rather than being aggravated by it, why don't we accept it? Okay? Why don't we accept it instead? Because if they are in that phase or that stage or living in a way in which they're creating a lot of irritation for other people, they're also creating a lot of irritation for themselves. Because enlightenment doesn't create irritation for other people. So if you accept that they are doing the best that they can within their level of awareness, probably my trademark phrase by now, if you accept that they are doing the best that they can within their level of awareness, then you can accept that they're doing the best that they can within their level of awareness. So accept where they are. Doesn't mean that you're not going to hope for some changes, some increase in their positive experiences with themselves and you and the world, but at least accept where they are instead of allowing yourself to be depleted with them by being aggravated. B. I wish B was Z, because I love this one. See, I could go out of order. I'm going to mess it up if I go out of order, so I won't. Okay, B. Let's move away from boring. Okay, let's just move away from it. It is so boring. It's so dull. And instead, let's move toward bold. Let's move toward bold. My kids, every time they, I've got a lot of them, and when each one of them was in certain ages, probably like under 4 or 5, whenever they would learn the word bored, they would try it out on me. And I'm like, you know what? They can try out a lot of things on me, but that's not one that's going to fly. Because I don't know what it's like to be bored. I don't have any idea. It doesn't even enter into my way of being at all. So don't get bored. It's a matter of choice. Because boring people get bored. Bold, interesting people who are ignited by their own soul are not boring, and they don't get bored because the world around them is magical and it's filled with so much to do or to see or to touch or to taste or to explore. There's always something here for us, always. There's too much here for us. So we got to prioritize. What are we going to find not boring out there? It's too much, right? One of my children who's here today, I saw her. She's got the same issue I have. Like, how do we do everything we want to do? There's so much to do. There's so much to experience. There's so much. It's never, ever, ever ending. It's never ending. And one of the reasons why I get a little more distracted now than I used to be is because I stay in a state of awe where I am. So if I throw a marker across the room, I'm actually thinking, wow, that slid so nicely. Well, you guys are waiting for what I'm going to say. And I find it interesting how much it slid. And then it makes me think about the time I was writing with one of these markers and I kept picking it up on the end of the marker, and then I had color all over my hand at the end of the day. So you might have been bored by me dropping the marker, but I don't find anything boring. I find it interesting. Like the way her necklace is hanging. It's fascinating. It's very distracting to be me. But everything is interesting, isn't it? Isn't everything? I never saw you in a white blouse before. That looks really good on you. Yeah. So don't be bored. Don't be bored. If you have to write a list of 52 new things I want to do this year, even if they only take a minute, then make the list. I remember one summer we had people over, and I had these little nail colors, and they were all the primary colors, and then the add-on ones, purple and black and all that. And so men, women, children, all at our pool. And what I did was I took out all those nail things and I made designs on everybody's hand, whether they wanted a pumpkin or they wanted a flower or they wanted whatever. But it was like so not boring, right? So we could sit there and have another drink or eat another whatever. But you could also, there's fun. There's always fun. You don't have to wait for someone else to make it. You can be the one to make it. And another reason I wanted B to be Z is because bold also means that you get to be who you want to be. Think back to high school, right? Most of us, high school's like, It's like being run over by a steamroller, so you look exactly like everybody else in every regard, and the entire reflection of your being is identical. And those who do a little something, an extra pop, they sometimes get a little heat from it. I think we're getting a little bit better to not give them heat, but you know what? High school's over, right? You don't have to steamroll over yourself to pull up a little thin pancake expression of you in black and white only. You can be what you weren't allowed to be in high school. And not only that, but if you feel like being something, it doesn't have to become permanent either, because you can change it up on a whim. It doesn't mean that you're not being authentic. It means you're being creative. If you really want to do it, then it is a part of you. Right? There's not only one you. None of us are one-dimensional, not in any regard. So if you feel like changing it up, change it up. And if you don't, that's okay too. That's okay too. If today had been a longer seminar, because I like 6-hour seminars, I was going to have costume changes. But I can't do it because I don't have enough time, because you can see I talk a lot. Okay. C. To see or not to see? Okay. I'm going to give you 2 versions of the C words because there's a little different way of seeing each of them. The first one, we want to move away from conflict. Move away from conflict. And the other slant on that is move away from being conflictive. Okay? So you want to move away from conflict, and you want to move away from the one putting the spark of conflict in things. And does that mean that we're not supposed to debate? We're not supposed to have really healthy conversations about some of the things that are not meaningful to us? Yeah, we can have meaningful conversations about differences. But conflict means that there are 2 camps with no real agreement of how to find the place in the middle of those 2 camps. Okay? But to enter into something and understand that we have differences and that we want to understand each other, you don't come into that conversation in a conflictive way. You're not a spark of disagreement. You're not contentious, another C word. So in contrast, we're going to move away from being riddled in conflict, and we're going to move toward constructing, being constructive. So being constructive means that even when there are differences of opinion, even when there are separations of where we want to go in anything, at work, at home, anywhere, even when there are separations, we can build something that helps everybody to feel included, that helps everybody to feel like they are heard, to help everybody feel like they have a voice. It doesn't have to be black or white, I win, you lose. It doesn't have to be black or white. It can be that we can construct something that allows us to all win. So move toward being constructive and away from conflictive. That's C. So it is a little warm in here. Is Rob here? Rob was going to help me out with that. I can see people are warm. Is Rob here?
You want me to open the windows?
Yeah, again, off my pay grade. You would be able to figure out how to do that?
I can open the windows. It's too hot in here. People are going to like open
I know.
I'm Gina, by the way.
Oh, hi, Gina.
Nice to meet you.
I said to say, come say hello. That's a great way to come say hello. Say hello to Gina. I did. Hi, Gina. Hi, Gina. Thank you, Gina. Okay, D. We're up to D. What week are we on? Are we in March now, or are we still in February? We're still in February, right? So this is going to be your February. All right. One of the things that makes it really hard for us to be who we're meant to be or who we truly are is because we are afraid to try things and explore things. We're afraid to have courage to express ourselves in the way that really, really ignites us, the things that we're passionate about. So I'm going to ask you to move away from being doubtful and move toward being determined. And it's interesting, if you contemplate that, it's actually quite simple. Move away from being doubtful and move toward being determined. Okay. I think you can imagine I worked in corporate America, I was making a good living, I was working in the defense industry, as a matter of fact, which is a little anti-intuitive, but who knew? And imagine moving away from that and doing what I do now, which really I hadn't come across anybody that was doing it. Channeling non-physical souls, that's weird, right? Did I have years to live in doubt? Well, what good would it do anybody? What good would it do? What good would it do if I were still sitting at home channeling books that were in my computer and nowhere else? Would it do anybody any good, would it? It took a lot of courage. I'm telling you, it took a lot of courage. But I was determined because I was passionate about that which it is I was receiving. Passion is the key to determination. It doesn't matter whether or not you're passionate about only your end goal or the process or what it is you're sharing or delivering or doing. It doesn't matter where the passion comes from. It doesn't necessarily have to be the end result. It doesn't have to be about becoming famous. It doesn't have to be about becoming the only expert. It doesn't even have to be about becoming crazy wealthy. If those are the things that make you feel very, very passionate, it's nice to have a vision toward that goal, as long as you stay connected to the excitement of that which it is you can deliver and create on the way to those other goals. Because passion is the thing that will keep you determined. When you do something a little different, you're going to find a lot of naysayers. You're going to find a lot of people that would prefer you staying in a rut of predictability, because they feel more comfortable when you are in a rut of predictability. That makes them not have to look in the mirror and say, how can she do this, or how can he do this, while I'm not doing the things that make me feel excited. And maybe I'm sounding like I'm talking about, because I deliver this as my career, it's not just about career, it's about anything. You know, I saw this morning a photo of someone that had a room lined with skinny little shelves all across the room. And on all of those shelves were hundreds of Lionel trains. And I just thought, how exciting is that? It's a passion. Do they have to get everyone on board? How much money did you spend? How did you give up a whole room to that? Isn't that a waste? Aren't you wasting your time? You could be making more money and saving more money if you didn't do this. Do they have to explain this to other people? Or can they just give themselves permission to enjoy that collection? Because it makes them happy and they're passionate about it. No explanation needed. You don't need people's approval to do that which it is you're excited about. If you're excited about something, then do it. And be determined to stick with it if you are really, really excited and passionate about it. Are there other things that I've done in my life that I started and I didn't finish? Yeah, we all do that. But that doesn't mean that I was not determined. It meant that I was also wise enough to see the bends in the road, and that I didn't have to rely on my end goal as being the only outcome possible. That when the universe is trying to communicate with us, sometimes they have to do it by putting some kind of roadblock in the way. If they can see a new path that might be similar and might be a little different, but a new path is illuminating by us simply not being able to go straight anymore. And then you look and you say, well, am I a failure? Is this futile? Should I give up? The answer is no. Even if you don't understand the path in that second, you stay determined because you have a passion that is burning inside of you. And you say, thank you, universe, for guiding me toward not spending excessive energy and time and resources in a path that's not going to bring me to be witness to the expression of my passion. Thank you for finding another way. I may not understand it at this second, but I'm so appreciative of your partnership in helping me to have some shortcuts. I love that one. Okay. Oh, this one. They're all good. Okay, so E, we're on E. What week are we on? Anyone know? March? Mid-March? First week? Okay. The word that we want to move away from is entitlement. And what I mean about entitlement is you expect someone else to do what you could do, that you're not, you know what, I always think of it as a little lazy. Are you lazy? Right? Besides you? You nodded. You nodded. Are you lazy? Are you lazy? Are you going to let other people do for you that which it is you can do for yourself? No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. One of the things that I love about the direction we're going with increasing acceptance of every color, shape, and size of all humans across the globe, and we'll get there. We got a long way to go, yes, but we are getting there. One of the things I like about it is that where we are ultimately heading, and I don't know the year we'll be there yet, but when I get it, I'll tell you. But where we're ultimately being is that you're going to earn your place on this globe. There's nothing going to be handed to you because you're a certain religion or color or sexuality or a certain amount of education or the car you drive or where you live. All of those will dissolve. Those separators will dissolve. And everybody will just earn their place on this planet. Whatever that is. Whatever that is. No judgment. Who cares? But they're going to carve out their own space on this planet based on who they are, what they decide, and what they choose. That's how we're going to determine what the outcome of your life will be like. So the corollary to entitlement, it gets back to the letter D a little bit, and it's about effort, the word effort. You know, I know when information came out about the law of attraction, there was this whole big thing of people having vision board parties and, you know, putting their mind toward focusing on how they want to live. They get the yacht on the image, and they get the this and the that. And then they celebrate and they dance and they go, oh, I'm so good. Come look at my vision board, everybody. And then they would do nothing. Okay, why is the law of attraction not working for me? I don't understand it. I've been looking at this every day, 3 times a day, and I really, really love it. I feel it. I want it. Because you're sitting there looking at your vision board. Get up. Call somebody. Go to school. Write a book. Fly a kite. Put some effort into it. If you really want that, you got to put in some effort. Put in some effort.
That's effort.
There's the effort. Okay, everybody look at Randy because I'm going to drink water. Wow, that was good. Oh. Okay, we're not too hot or cold. We're better?
Still a little bit.
Okay. Hot still? Good? Better? Okay. All right. The letter F. Every now and then I use the F word at a seminar. But it just is the right word at that moment. And later on I'm like, who said that? But I'm not going to use the word today. I'm going to use 2 different words. I think maybe the alphabet is really top heavy because I can't imagine there being anything after these first 7 or so letters because this one's This is also one of my favorites. This is, all right, this, let's say for now, this is my favorite one.
That's her favorite.
I love you. Okay, so this is my favorite one. And if you ever hear me speak, or I do a session with you, or you read a book of mine, or you watch my posts, you hear this from me constantly anyway. That's how you know how important it is to me. Move away from fear. 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 We are the creators of our reality. We project our energy into our experience. We receive back that which it is we project. If you're receiving a lot of shit back, of things you should be afraid of, that means you're putting a lot of fear out there into the universe. What you focus on will expand. Move away from fear. Move away from fear. We were born to be healthy. We were born to be prosperous. We were born to be happy. We were born to be fulfilled. A lot of people got a hold of you since you were born and told you that that was not true. They were wrong. Stop being afraid. Stop being afraid. Here's a funny example. So I'm learning to, it sounds like it's going to be a big deal, right? No, I'm not really jumping out of planes or anything. So okay. So I'm learning how to be on a scooter and make the scooter go forward without breaking a leg, right? So the fear is the breaking of the leg. So I'm really doing good. You know, I could even do a little lift up of the front of the scooter, right? And this is not an electric scooter. So I've learned how to stop. I can go again. So I'm doing pretty good. And then one of my daughters, not this one, so you can't pick on her, she said, no, don't go that way, Mom. You're going to fall. Because there was a 1-inch curb or lip. And as soon as she said that, what happened? You fell. I fell. And she doesn't even know I've been up and down that curb like a lot already. But as soon as she said it, I fell. I felt like such an idiot. And I fell. And it hurt. And I didn't want to do it anymore. And I was depleted. Right? So that fear, that focus, brought me into my tumble. That's a tiny, 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 tiny little example of what fear does. But at least it illustrates that. I found it entertaining that after the Long Island Railroad did the whole campaign, Watch the Gap, we had more people enter into the Gap in the following 8 months than they had ever had before the campaign. You want to be afraid? You're jumping into the Gap. Stop being afraid, people. Stop being afraid. It takes effort to stop being afraid, but you got to stop being afraid. Okay? And one way to stop being afraid is the F corollary is, you know what it is?
Faith.
Oh, is it oh my God! Oh my gosh! I'm supposed to say gosh. Oh my gosh! Why? It's so funny, but I got that one first from the guides, faith. But I said, you know what? It's going to be a little bit hard to explain that to people because faith is something that religions have sometimes, yeah, they've kind of made a bit of something else of it. So I said, well, what about fun? Right? They're both good though. Thank you. Fun. It's so important to have fun. I mean, honestly, what are we also dreary about? What is so gloomy? What is so pressing? What is so miserable? What is so scary that we're not just having fun? When you have fun, you actually eliminate or dissolve or lessen that which to be afraid of can come into your life. Fun is a protector. because you're putting a lot of energy into possibility and to happiness and to laughing and to enjoying. If you're putting all that energy into there and you're actually doing the stuff that is fun, you're eliminating all of the doubt or the lack of courage that it takes to have fun. You know how hard it is for some people just to have fun? It's hard, and it's no joke. I did a session with a woman, and probably not the only one that turned out like this, but in the session, 10 or 15 minutes into it, I don't know her, but the guide said, we don't usually do the homework assignment this early in a session, but we're going to give you a homework assignment. And the homework assignment is, and as soon as they said it, I knew what was about to happen. They said, your homework assignment is in the next 3 days to do something that you've never, 30 days, did I say 30 days? In the next 30 days, do something that you have never done before. Do something you've never done before in the next 30 days. 3 things is all they were asking. 3 things. And she sighed, and she got silent, and she said, I don't really think I can do that. I'm like, anything? Like, you know, taste a different kind of melon. Can you go somewhere and have a different kind of adventure? Go home from work a different way. You know, just anything. Just change it up. And she's like, I don't know, I have this kind of allergy, and I have my dog, and he's blind, and I was like, okay, well that's your homework assignment, and just see if you can try to do it. Can you say that you will see if you can try to do it? And she said, yes, I'll try. She wound up doing a session with me the following month, because I guess it helped her to understand the lack of fun she was having in her life. And so she did a session, and she described to me how painful it was for her to do those 3 things. And she said she only got 2 in during the 30 days, but it was really honest of her. And she said, but what I did was I decided I was going to put another session on the calendar, and I was going to do the 3rd before I spoke with you. I told myself I'm not allowed to speak to you again until I did the 3rd. So it's not easy for us to have fun, because you are told that there's something more important that you should be doing, right? Last year's word was recreate or recreate, and yet we're still having a hard time recreating that which it is which is not serving us, and recreating and enjoying the pleasures of actually being here. Having fun doesn't mean that you give up all responsibility, but we are hyper responsible. Our to-do lists and the places that we put our focus and how we're wasting time on social media, we're not having fun. We're not having fun. We're not having enough fun. So that one is my favorite. Oh, nice pants. Those are fun. And nice outfit. That's all fun, too. Okay, G. It just keeps getting better, I'm telling you. Stick with me. G. G is a funny one, because we're going to talk about move away from and toward, and then we're going to reverse it. So you're going to move toward both and move away from both. Interesting. Okay. Move away from getting. Don't live as only a taker. Move away from getting. Move toward giving. Because giving feels really wonderful. Giving makes you feel better oftentimes than the receiver does. I bet you if you think back toward the holiday gifts of December, you probably can remember more of the things that you gave people than that which it is you received. Because giving really does feel good. It feels nice. If you're doing it with love and joy, it feels good. The challenge is that when we get to certain phases of enlightenment, we sometimes give too much and we don't get it. So the key here with the G's is to, you are the only one to know the balance that's going to be the most rewarding and beneficial for you. But the key is to balance getting and giving, okay? I gave a seminar in November, and someone at the seminar who tried to make it today, but she couldn't make it, she said something that I found fascinating. And she said, everyone in the room has a talent that no one else in the room has. And it's true, right? We don't necessarily think about it that way. And it doesn't have to be something like a musical instrument or anything. It could just be a little something, the way you look at something, or the way you talk to people, or the way you see things, or the way you interact with children, or art, or whatever. And if you think in terms of you have something that's unique to you, you have a special skill set that wasn't gifted to you, but you developed, even if it is kindness, make that the thing that you give, because whatever it is, we could use more of it. Whatever your special uniqueness about you is, give a lot more of it. But you don't have to give and give and give to the point that someone else feels entitled. You have strong shoulders, but don't the people around you have strong shoulders? So why should you be shouldering all of their responsibility? We each got the same set. And the more someone tells you that you have to do something for them, the more they're going to become dependent on you doing it for them. Trust me, when you cut off that source, they're going to find another way to get it done. When you cut off that source of entitlement. So the giving and the getting is balanced. But I also have people who can't receive. They're so used to giving. They're so used to being the one that's responsible for everybody else's happiness. So they have a hard time getting. They have a hard time taking back. I know it's amazing, but I actually did a session with a woman who had the same 30-day assignment. She was told to ask 3 people for a favor in 30 days. And she's like, I'll try, it sounds horrible, but I'll figure it out, I'll get it done. And then I said, with no reciprocity. She's like, I'm out. I'm out. I cannot receive something without giving something back. Well, can you? Can you receive something without giving something back that you think is energetically of value to that person and as significant as that which it is you are receiving? If you can, good, you're in balance. But it is an interesting thing to think about, getting and giving. Getting and giving, getting and giving. And it's a long topic, it's a lifetime topic. It's not something that you're going to be able to nail in just that 30 days. And in that 7 days, there's 7 days for each of these, right? I didn't mean to make this a 52-year. But in that 7 days, you can do it. You can do it. You can concentrate on it. By concentrating on any of these techniques for 7 days, you can hopefully break the habit of them not being harmonious in your life. And you can shift the lens of how you perceive everything around you ever so slightly to help you bring more of that which it is you want into your life. Okay? We're going to, yes?
Putting this on a vision board and looking at it isn't going to help.
If you have a party and we all get to look at them and bring our own and put a plan together of action of how we're going to be support buddies to each other, maybe. That's very good. Where's Stryker? Yeah, you're stuck in the corner. Yeah. We're going to take a little bit of break, and as you can see, we have a lot of letters to go. And I will say that some of the energetic messages that are in some of the other letters, somehow we've kind of started to speak about them. So don't panic. I know we have a lot of letters to go. Some of them will go a little bit more quickly because we're not laying the groundwork as much for concept. Oh, before you leave, I'm sorry. Just one second, please. Stryker's gonna talk about a couple of things, right?
Yeah. I'll take a break in 1 second. Take about a 15-minute break. Got a lot to get through today. One of our guests today, Jennifer. I'm going to butcher your last name, so say it again.
Yeah, Lejotis.
Lejotis.
Yeah.
Asked you just to have her speak for just 2 minutes, and then we'll all take a break. So thank you. This is Jen. Come on up. Or let her out.
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
My married last name is so funny. It's Lejotis. My maiden name was Bigham, spelled Big Ham, which I kind of feel like fits me better. Anyway, so thank you, Stryker, for letting me come up and talk. I wanted to talk to you guys about Happy at 90. You all got a flyer. And I have known Karen, I think, since 2012. And like most of us in the room, I started my journey towards intuition really young, like between the ages of 4 and 5. And as I got older, I found that I was constantly searching for something to help me live from the inside. You know, we all read about all these things. You know, you're supposed to live from the inside. You're supposed to be the person you're meant to be, from your soul. But I was never really able to find that in all the studies that I did throughout the years that I worked on my intuition. And I even had a radio show called Spiritual Happy Hour where I would bring people on, Karen being one of them, and interview them on how to live life through your intuition. And despite that, I used to live always from accomplishment to accomplishment to accomplishment, and that was how I got my happiness. And I had my kids. And I kind of got really mad because I could watch my kids be living life from the inside out. And I was like, I don't get it. If I started from where they were, but I'm in my 30s and I'm still doing accomplishment equals my happiness. I got Karen's books and I devoured them. And then a couple years ago, I would watch her on her website, Happy and 90, Happy and 90. And I never really had the time to do it until this summer. And I have to say, it is the best course, I tell Stryker and Karen all the time, I have ever taken in my entire life. And I'm not just saying that. The difference in myself from taking the course, it's little tiny changes that you do every day. It's a 12-week course, and it's comprised of exercises, essays, and videos. And it's like having Karen at your kitchen table every day. As I dove into the course and as I integrated the course into the exercises into my life, I really feel like my whole soul, the essence or the soul song or the person that I was meant to be, came out on the other side. I'm more at peace, and I'm just really happy. I feel like I'm living my life now, like my kids who are now 12 and 10. Like I really feel that way. And what's funny is I was sitting there thinking, what am I going to do next? Like I finished Happy and 90, and the difference I think with Karen's program is she gives you the tools that so many other books and things don't give you. Like I was the people doing the vision boards, standing there going, well, I don't know what to do next. And vision boards and all the seminars and things that I used to take would only get me so far because I only had 4 or 5 or 12 tools. What Happy and 90 does is it gives you, I don't know, over 200, 500 tools that you can use and integrate into your life. And the way that Karen writes them, they're just so concise and fun and to the point. And if you do something kind of heavy or deep on one day, she has you doing something really fun the next. And so for me, I always say for the price, about the price of a cup of a Starbucks coffee, large, and the time it takes me to drink that coffee is the time it takes me to do my Happy and 90 work for the day, and I am infinitely happier. Like I never thought I could be happy from the inside. I mean, I believed I could, but I didn't know how to get there. And Karen's program really, I promise you, shows you how to get there. And so I just hope, you know, it's the first month of the year. As we step into it, it's always a good time to kind of try something new. And I have to tell you, somewhere within like the first 20-something days, and I remember I waited, Stryker, till the day 29, because I only signed up for the first 30. And then I procrastinated a little, and I was constantly like, how do I get to the 31? How do I get to day 31? But I encourage you, just take a peek at it. It's a phenomenal course. It's, you know, 12 weeks, but you could start 30, 60, or 90. But if you do that, I promise, please do the 90, because it's 12 weeks, I'm sorry, 90 days, 12 modules, over 200 tools, and I say infinitely leads to infinite happiness. And so with this 32 things, or 52 things she has going, I just feel like come 2020, we're gonna knock it out of the park. So anyway, thank you.
Samantha Lee and Darren will perform the song of the day. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody. The moment that you have been waiting for a whole year. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the words because I think you'll be able to enjoy their song much more if you know the word in advance. But I am going to preface it with a little bit of, well, you know what? I'm not going to preface it. I'm just going to give you the word and we're going to hear their song. And I want to really thank very, very much my very good friends, Marion Stacks and Samantha Leah. And they came from New Jersey to be with us. I get to see them often when I'm there on business. I absolutely adore them. They're phenomenal people. And so I have not heard the song. All I did was give them the word, and they created whatever they create, and they will be debuting it today. We're going to do our best to make it available by MP3 for purchase afterward. But today our only job is to just sit and enjoy and listen. The word of the year is soft. Soft.
I told you. He kept saying, I think I got it.
Yes, it was a surprise for me and it was a surprise for them. So Marty, back off. You now know the word, okay? All right. Thank you so much for making the trip. Here we go.
Soft like a bird in the palm of my hand, soft like my feet in the warmth of the sand, soft like the waves crashing onto my skin, softly beginning again, softly, slowly, all in due time, all in due time, softly, slowly, yeah. All in due time, all in due time.
Tell me, people, do you feel the energy swimming through our chakras like a flowing connection to these people? Now stand tall, submit to all sensation. Now stand tall. All of the droplets inside of this ocean, something that's tight as the water flows. Untie the shackles to unlearn the habits, serene and where truly the river goes. Our interaction is amazing. This is the time to embrace. Lighten these feelings so lofty, approaching each feeling so soft.
Softly,
Softly, slowly,
all in due time, all in due time. Take pride in confidence,
observe your every action.
rejoice in happiness,
Softly beginning again. Oh, take pride in the bliss.
live life with satisfaction.
Rejoice in everything. Softly beginning again. Softly, slowly, all in due time, all in due time. Softly,
I know I should probably compliment them, but right now I'm going to start out with like, who's the intuitive in the room? With a lot of faith, right? It's all about me.
I would so do that if I was in your place.
That was great. There are no words. You guys nailed it. Nailed it. That is going to be a hit.
It's so funny though, because that word, when she said it, I was like, that's so weird, but then we sat down and I just sang the chorus, and then we made it so beautiful.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I just sit somewhere?
It's not recorded yet, but
We will make it available. We will make it available. I promise we'll make it available. You'll get it in your newsletter. You'll see it on Insta and Facebook. I will definitely make it available for purchase, okay? Yeah. That was fun. Right? Thank you. Wow. Wow. You brought it home. That was absolutely amazing. Toward the end, they're going to perform another song. That's one of my personal favorites of theirs, and they've agreed. So you'll hear them again. Okay, where were we? I was not here, but I heard Jen spoke. Right? Is Jen here? Jen, thank you. Thank you. I ran out of the room just so I could get the ladies' room before anybody else. I didn't trample on anybody. But thank you. I so much appreciate that. Okay, and we all did our bidding and so on. We're good? All right, so what letter were we on? H. Yeah. Cancel your plans for the rest of the day because we have a long way to go. Now, a lot of these, like I said, they're going to focus on topics or themes that we've already brought up. Okay, this one is simple and we don't have to go. If I had to explain this one to you, please leave. Are we up to me? Thank you. Yeah, just get yourself up in front of all of us and leave the room if you don't get it. Okay, please, just do us all a favor. Leave the room, okay? We're moving away from hate and we're moving toward hugs! You can hug energetically, you can hug with a wink, you can hug with good positive thoughts, you can hug physically. Let's do more hugs and less hate. This whole don't touch me, don't do that, I need my space, you got germs, more hugging, hating.
Karen, actually, I just saw an image today of Trump, and he's doing both. Hugging and hating.
Okay, so we blew through H, and no one's leaving the room. Good. Okay, next one. I like this one because it's a subtle point that can help all. There's a lot of stuff in here, guys. My apologies. Oh, I did want to mention that we are going to be sending a reminder to you every Sunday night of the letter of the week. Okay? That way we'll keep you on task for the entire year. Okay? So when I send you this, we'll have your email address, but we'll be putting in a little reminder on social media, and you'll receive a reminder every week. Your letter of the week is. Okay? That'll remind you to look at it, review it, and so on. So, because it's not easy to remember this by the time June comes and September comes. I. Okay, I. This is something a lot of people have challenges with. Enlightenment does bring with it a more mutually beneficial set of perceptions about what we can do with each other and for each other that'll help everybody. And as such, we want to share it with those who haven't gotten to the different steps that we've gotten. Listen, share. That's what this is all about. Keep sharing. Don't be invasive. Avoid invading people. avoid being invasive. Nobody cares how damn enlightened you are if they're not ready to hear what you have to say. They just don't care. You become a major turnoff, and they will never listen to another thing that you say if you invade them. Do not invade. Be soft. Be soft. Thank you. Do not invade. But what we do is we invite, okay? And it doesn't mean only that you're doing the inviting, but people will invite us if they're ready for information of value. And they invite us overtly and subtly. So when you are seeing an invitation, accept the invitation because it's non-invasive, okay? Let me give you an example. Somebody might complain about something wrong with their knee, and they've been complaining about it for 11 years. At 11 years, you're allowed to say, I think I'm being invited in to give a suggestion that might be helpful about the knee. And then you make a suggestion. And listen back, listen softly, and see how that suggestion was received. If there's a door slamming on you, then you really weren't invited. They want the help, but they're not ready for it. So listen after you start to accept the invitation. And the other way to invite is to live the way you want the world to be. If you live like that, then you're inviting others in all the time because they start to witness your happiness or your health or your vibrancy or your courage or your musical talent. They start to see what it is that you're doing, and they start to get curious. Some people will run away because they're not ready to see the best in themselves yet. But many will come forward and say, I like what he's got. I like what she's got. And I want to figure out how they did it. So they'll ask you questions, or they'll come by, or they'll do things. So you being what you want to see in the world is an invitation. Just keep being it. We don't get to take Sundays off. You can lounge around and do nothing on any day of the week you want, but don't take time off of being what you want the world to be like. We don't get time off on that. No more dress rehearsals. Okay, next letter. Could you imagine me not like channeling this? JJ, no. I channeled this, and it went remarkably well. But I'm not doing that in front of you. Okay, J. Oh, this one's so easy again. The exit is in the rear, if you don't get it. We're going to move away from judgment, and we're going to move toward joy. You cannot be joyful when you're judging. It is not a happy feeling. When you're in judgment, you are joyless. You might be joyful 10 seconds later because you one up somebody because you think you're better than them, which is why you would judge to begin, because you feel inferior. You feel lacking in self-confidence, so you have to pull someone else down in your head with your judgment because that makes you feel better about yourself. But it's still joyless. It's still joyless. To judge is to live without joy. Okay, no one left. Okay, good. Oh, this one is a little, I had to get clever with the guides because we're talking K here. People, give me credit. We got ketchup and kittens. So there's not much else out there. So we're going to go a little creative on this. All right, if you have something wonderful and you want it to flow through you and fill your vessel, you have a vessel and you want something to flow through you and fill your vessel. And I think that every one of these techniques is something that you want to flow and fill your vessel. When your vessel is overflowing, you have more to contribute, and you also get the benefit of that which it is you're living with. But if your flow gets kinked, we're moving away from kinking it. So unkink your vessel. Move away from the kink. Unkink the flow. Unkink the flow. And the reason I like us to think about it that way is because there's a lot of things that help us to be in the flow, our own personal flow. And that is nurturing ourselves, mind, body, and spirit. I cannot possibly do that sentence justice here today. But you guys know it. Whatever it is that works for you. Bare minimum necessary. Okay, bare minimum necessary for what it takes to keep your body running at optimal speed, because this is the machine that allows your soul to disappear or shine. You're not taking care of the vessel's not taking care of you. And one of the things that quiets down, if there's a kink in the flow, is your ability to be enlightened, and your ability to be happy, and your ability to be joyful, and your ability to be of value to others. It just slows down. Let it flow. Take care of your mind, body, and spirit on a regular basis. Come on up. And I'll do the other K in a second. Thank you, Rob. I guess up in here. We'll embarrass the heck out of them. Our friends from North Carolina and Detroit that finally got here. Oh, no. Oh.
And they're smoking.
Wait a minute. He left his artwork on the train. No
judgment on my
What was that movie? Train, Plane,
What a terrible day. Oh my goodness.
Talk about a bad awful day.
Wow.
I think when they walk in, we're just going to give them a nice applause. We're going to give them hugs.
Oh my goodness.
No, I cannot believe it. But why did this happen, Karen? You must be well, I'll have a conversation with them for their benefit, but I mean, we have to have so much appreciation for them coming, okay? And I will make sure that I get an image to everyone, so if you do want to I'll get images to you before you leave today, so if you do want to bid on it, we'll still make the exchange to the highest bidder of his artwork, okay? It might not go the way we wanted it to today, but we still will make sure that it happens. I thought he was, okay, we're still on K. Another signature word that I use, like I have that phrase that I use all the time, but those who know me know that I say know. I take the word K-N-O-W and I make it a hard K, so we can see the difference between knowing and knowing. Knowing is that thing that no one can disprove. It's your own source to universal wisdom that you have within you. Just because I'm a channel here doesn't mean that I'm the only one that can do this. You can know stuff. And you can know when you're kinked, right? So we're going to move away from being kinked, pretending that we don't know that which it is which would like to flow into our vessel. And we're going to remember that we know. We all had the same access to information at birth. Everyone's journey here has separated them to some degree or another from that inner wisdom and that knowingness. So you do know, you think about this. If you ever hear like somebody being habitually just nasty to somebody, if you trace it back in time, I'll pause. Very glad that you're here. Thanks for taking the seat in Thank you. Have a seat. Embarrass you for making you sit up front. So we know. Oh, so anyway, so going back to the nasty person, if you trace that person back to some point in time, you're going to find a time where they were that nasty and they didn't feel good about it. Because something goes on. That thing goes on. This is wrong. I shouldn't talk to my mother this way, or my friend, or I shouldn't be nasty to this person on the playground, or I shouldn't storm out, or I shouldn't. It just doesn't feel good. And we all have that thing inside of us. Now what happens is, if you are adopting behaviors that are not supporting your happiness and the happiness of others, if you're in a dysfunctional family or community or circumstance, other people might encourage you to have the continuation of adopting something that doesn't really demonstrate your soulfulness. But it's still always up to you to remember that you can know. You do know, you know, and you always did know. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. If it doesn't support your joy, then don't do it. It's not for you, okay? I always tell this story. Like, this is just one example of, I used to be, I'm still embarrassed to say it, but I used to be that person. I used to smoke, and I would take my cigarettes and put them out in the ashtray in the car. We had cigarette lighters and ashtrays. I would come to a traffic light, and I would sit there. I can't believe I'm saying this. This is the same person. But I would open up my car door, pull the ashtray out, and I would dump the ashtray on the side of the road. Okay? I'm still cleaning up that mess, energetically, but I'm still cleaning up that mess. And what I've done instead is I've gotten to the point that here's where I am. You don't have to do this at home, but this is where I am. So when I speak, I chew a tiny piece of gum so that if I forget to drink the water and Randy doesn't want to be stared at again, I can still speak to you guys, right? And so one day I'm leaving a speech, and the gum is so annoying. I can't get rid of it. The place I was speaking at, I guess I overspoke. So all the garbage cans were empty. The custodians had come through, and there were no liners in the garbage cans. So I'm like, what the hell do I do now? Now this is really annoying.
Dilemma for sure.
What do I do now, right? So I didn't think to swallow it. That would have been smart. But apparently when I'm channeling for 3 hours, I don't get smart. So I wasn't smart. So I took it outside with me, and I'm just looking, anything, a tissue. There's nothing. I got nothing. So finally, oh, thank you. See how I didn't put it on a vision board? I actually asked you effort. We put effort into it. So anyway, so I'm outside, and I grab a leaf from the ground, and I curl it up in a leaf, and I stick it in my pants pocket. Okay. Yeah, everyone knows how the story goes. So, life goes on, doing laundry, blah, 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 and take one of my favorite pairs of pants out of the dryer. Why are you putting your favorite pants in the dryer? Right, Carolyn? You just don't do that. So I take my favorite pair out, and they are semi-glued in like a permanent kind of way with this tiny little piece of gum. And I could have been, I could have been aggravated, a word. I could have been aggravated, but I wasn't. I felt so appreciative that the reason my pants got ruined was because I was living in honor. And I was knowing that even tossing a little piece of gum, something that's not going to decay, just didn't feel right. It's living in that knowingness. So less cake, more knowing. Okay, we are up to L. I like this one. And in different ways, we've actually kind of spoken about it today anyway. So this is one that we don't have to spend too much time on. But we're going to move away from limits. And we're going to move towards liberty, towards being liberated. Okay? We're going to move away from limits, and we're going to move towards being liberated. Once in a while, I'm going to just really jump off this planet and tell you guys the way it is. You are so over-governed and ruled and instructed. It's absolutely mind-blowing how over-ruled, over-instructed, and over-governed you are. We are so over-governed that many people on this planet right now do not have the ability to think for themselves. So they become little robots just following what everybody tells them to do. There's no freedom in letting someone make every single decision for you. Let go of other people's limits and make a decision about whether or not it is appropriate for you. You decide for yourself. I'm not saying go out and bust every law, but maybe speak out a little bit more about where we're being ruled too frequently. if someone does something for you, eventually that muscle will atrophy. So if I have someone pick my coffee up for me, however many times I sip coffee a day, and then they bring it to my mouth, and I do absolutely nothing with my left arm forever, what's going to happen? It's going to atrophy. Why would I let someone do that for me all the time? I like my arm, I got it, the muscles work, and it does a lot for me. As a matter of fact, to illustrate this even farther, when I was a kid, teenager, I had a body cast on for 9 months. Wow. It started here, and it went down to here. And I lived in that thing for 9 months. When I had the body cast off, I could not move my head back and back up. So for weeks, this is pre-physical therapy, so for weeks, if my head went back for any reason, to look up at the sky, look up at the stars, or do anything, I would have to take both of my hands and push my head back up. And that was 9 months of letting it atrophy. How many of us are letting a muscle of thinking atrophy for our whole lives? Who knows better than you? Because the over rule-oriented society that we live in is only getting worse unless we put our feet down and tell people to leave us alone. Liberate us. Liberate us. Liberate us. So that's on a kind of community. Yes?
Maybe we should have some meetings in New Hampshire.
I love that.
Live free or die. Right?
Live free or die. I love that. And you know, I'm talking about community and global aspects, but there's also a great process of stopping limiting yourself and liberating yourself, okay? I'm going to just try to, I have to tell the story a little bit fast, but I did a session, 1 week I did 2 sessions with young male and female couples that were unable to get pregnant and they wanted to, okay? So I was doing a session with one couple, and it was the strangest thing. I'd never met them, but a little bit into the session, the young man, I was like, I got a homework assignment for you. You guys are going to hate homework, right? Okay, so I have a homework assignment for you. And he was like, are you willing to do it? He's like, absolutely. So I said, all right, your guides would like you to leave a few dirty dishes in the sink every night before you go to bed. I don't know. Well, I don't know. It's obviously not the homework assignment I gave you, or you, or you, or you, or you. And he was visibly uncomfortable, And she kept looking at him. She put her hand on his knee. She was comforting him. I'm not kidding you. This is the truth. And what the guides were helping in that homework assignment was for him to understand that bringing a child into your life is the opposite of being in control. And that if he doesn't break the habits that he has formed, it's going to be difficult to embrace all of the wonderful, chaotic aspects of having a baby and a child. So don't limit yourself either. I've done sessions with people who are so clean in their eating that they are ill not because of the way that they eat, but because of the way that they focus and their fear in making the clean choices. It's such an obsession that they're not living in freedom or liberty. So liberate yourselves from even having too many personal limits. Wow, I went on longer about that one than I thought. We're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to finish up M through Z. This one's easy, very easy. Move away from mediocrity and move toward mastery. Simple, simple. Here, I did what I had to do to succeed when I was in corporate America. I did everything. I was always prepared for my role there and what I did, and I did it very, very well. But I'm going to honestly tell you, even though I was prepared and I was very good at it, I never obsessed with it and I never mastered it. I recognize now that the reason I didn't master it was because I wasn't passionate about it. I mastered what I do now because I love it. It is so easy to master something when you love it. So once again, we're going to go back to that dialogue of do what you love, and everything that's good, everything that's possible will follow. You don't necessarily have to do it for a living, but just make sure you do it. Okay? And the mastery will come naturally. You know, was it easy what I did? No. No, 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 no. As a matter of fact, I can't even believe the time and the effort and the dedication that I put into it, because I've never mastered anything in my entire life. I was obsessed, which might not be that great, but I was obsessed to the point that I wanted to absolutely, completely master it. And I did it at such a level that nothing was going to stop me. Nothing. For 2 years, I did almost nothing but that, except the stuff like taking my pants out of the dryer, and every now and then I would feed the children. Not often, but on occasion I would. But it was such an obsession because I was passionate about, but I did master it. You don't have to condense your mastery into any time frame like I did. You know, please don't obsess, but you can achieve mastery. We don't need any more mediocrity. And you don't have to master everything either. I want to make sure that we understand that. We can't do everything on this earth. We just can't. So you choose the things that you decide are representative of you and your passion and your soul, and master those and make that your contribution to this world, as we spoke about earlier. This one's, again, leave the room if you don't get this one. It's so darn easy. The N words. Nasty, move away from nasty, move toward nice. I don't even have to say another word about that one. Okay, this one I like. O, letter O. Okay, this one's so cool because I really like it. I mean, I like it because it's cool. Okay, I like it because it's cool. Being awake takes concentration. Being asleep and ignorant and foolish and patterned and miserable, it's effortless. It takes no effort to create exactly what you used to have, okay? Whatever that equation is. So turn your consciousness on. So we're going to move away from off, living patterned, living as a reactive person, living as though you're not the master in your own driver's seat. We're gonna turn off living in habit without being awake. And we're gonna turn on a conscious effort to understand how we exist in the world, what we're doing, what we're thinking, how we're being, how we're feeling. It's not easy. You realize that most people, their thoughts have completely taken over their lives. And they don't even realize they're allowed to insert themselves in there and redirect where those thoughts go. I will tell you, in all of the years that I've been doing this and all of the people that I've spoken with or assisted, the single hardest thing for people to do on a regular basis is to remain consciously awake. So turn it on. Turn it on. Yep. Oh, no, this next one I find really fascinating because it's such a basic principle of human behavior, and that is that we are directed, we direct ourselves by two different compelling experiences. We are either moving toward getting out of pain, or we're moving toward seeking pleasure. There's really nothing else that motivates us but avoiding pain or seeking pleasure, okay? I'm not just saying avoid pain here at all. We're already trying to do that through escape or through doing some things where we're not consciously awake at all. What I'm saying is stop using pain as your motivator. Use pleasure as your motivator. Live happily, live joyfully, live freely, live creatively. Live with the passionate spark that's within you, shining on the outside. If you decide that you want to live in awe and seek the pleasures of everything around you, like we talked about before, how I get very distracted about shiny objects. That's so cool. Wow. You have to. Wow, that's nice. What is it? It's a crystal ball. Oh, I love that. Doesn't that belong to me? I like that. You know, I'm not about to be dead. Okay. Oops.
Pain, pleasure.
Pleasure. Thank you. Pleasure. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. So, it's not pleasure as an escape. It's pleasure as a passion. That's a big difference. But the principle of don't use pain anymore as your fuel. You're not going to spend the rest of your life avoiding pain. That's very safe. It's very boring. It's very limiting. But it's not going to get you where you want to be. Okay, we can be reasonable, but don't use pain as your springboard for growth and discovery and the journey of your life. And pleasure, when you are engaged in pleasure, it's also important to recognize that you don't want to use pleasure as an escape either. So it's not simply fueling your adrenaline or to avoid that which it is that you really are not comfortable with. It's about pleasure, meaning you can get up every day and use something happy to focus on where you want to go that day. And if you wake up and you do that every day, you actually have less things that are creating pain in your life.
You did that well. That was slick.
You guys think of 2 cues. And just see how good I am at what I do. Okay? I'm going to give you 2 cues. I am going to give you 2 cues. Can you think of any? No, you can't. Promise me.
Move away from quitting.
Quitting. Oh, I like that. That's good, huh? And cheat.
Quiet to question.
Oh, that's good, but I'm not familiar with that one. So guys can only give me that which I have a frame of reference.
Question.
Quality, quantity. That's question. Oh, God, you're also good. All right. I totally have to stop bragging about myself. Yeah, the awkward part of this next one is I don't know how to pronounce it. Okay. It's a very easy word to pronounce. It's just not one of my skill sets. Is it Meyer?
Quagmire.
Quagmire. Okay. Here, this earth place where our souls land in these bodies, it is a quagmire. I know what it means. I just didn't know how to pronounce it. It's a quagmire. It's an obstacle course. There's always something that's going to get wrapped around your ankle and pull you into the swamp water. It's a hot mess. It really is. However, the way to help navigate the quagmire is by knowing that you have a quest. By knowing that you have a quest. We each, as souls before we're born, we each put together a really good idea, multiple good ideas, tons and tons and tons of good ideas that we believe we can achieve. And they are grand, and they are altruistic, and they are an expression of who we are as souls eternally. And that's our quest. It's enormous, and it's possible. When we get here, we have earth amnesia. So we get caught up in the quagmire. We get caught up in the quagmire. But remembering that you have a quest, remembering that you know as a soul that which it is you want to create and contribute and experience is possible, can help you navigate the quagmire. Yes. Now, do you think, can I brag about myself again?
Yes.
We're back. We're back. Okay. I don't do the work though. I'm only channeling, so how good am I really, right? It's because of those 2 years of obsession that I can do it. Oh, I like this one. Apparently I like all of them. We're going to learn one thing. I'm easily awed. All right, the letter R. The answer, the first word is going to move away from reckless. Don't overthink this, because I do not mean reckless as a safety issue. Reckless is getting back to what I talked about before, that you have to take care of your vessel in order for your vessel to take care of you. And reckless behavior is living with everybody else being your personal expert, not exercising, not doing the things that you know keep you feeling good. That's reckless. You know, can we drink ourselves into the grave? Can we take drugs that we know aren't going to make us feel good in the long run? Can we eat bags of Doritos every week like I used to? We can, but it's reckless behavior because it is not propelling us to become what we really are, which is radiant. Reckless behavior with the mind and body and spirit that you have will not allow your radiant energy to shine. It is the thing that dumbs down and dulls your shine. Okay? I know when I was beginning to make all of these discoveries, one of the things I loved was I would make pancakes and all that on Sunday mornings. It just felt like a really nice thing to do. And Sunday was my only day off, and I would always feel Sunday like I had a hangover. And I didn't have the alcohol to get me to the hangover, which was really annoying, because then you pay back and all right. But then I started to realize that the buttermilk pancakes and syrup had the effect on my body as if I had had alcohol. So the reason I felt like I had a hangover every day was because that was not necessarily the right nutrition for me. And once I knew it, it would be reckless for me to continue to eat pancakes and syrup with the belief that I would have a vibrant day. I could have eaten them, but it would be reckless for me to think that I would have a vibrant day if I ate them. Okay? So I radiate more now on Sundays because I don't eat that particular meal in the morning. I actually love homemade buckwheat pancakes with yogurt and sliced up mango on it. That's one of my favorite breakfasts. Very healthy and nutritious for me. Maybe not for you, for me it is. So I have an alternative now. All right, buckwheat pancakes, unsweetened yogurt, mango. Tomorrow Sunday, people. My address is buckwheat pancakes. Is that subtle?
Well, what's your address?
As long as you're making them. I knew I should have asked you to leave at the letter N. Okay, all right, this one is huge. And I'm sorry that it is only one letter, because we could, again, I could do a 3-day seminar on it. So we'll just barely touch on it. Move away from scarcity. And we tend to think toward money and wealth and everything that is material when we think about that. But scarcity runs much deeper than that. It's not celebrating when someone gets a promotion because they're having a piece of happiness or joy that has overlooked you. It's not having any feelings like someone else's happiness contributes to yours. It's feeling as though other people have things that you don't have that you want, whether it's a certain lifestyle or house or car. It's envy, it's jealousy. Scarcity mentality means you always think there's not enough for you, or others always have more than you have of whatever it is that you want. Okay? Scarcity mentality is that if there's something that you want in life, like suppose you are single and you really want to be in a mutually beneficial, intimate relationship, then everywhere you go, you'd be like, oh, look how happy they are. I wonder why I'm not that happy. Oh, if she could get that, why can't I get that? I mean, it's kind of degrading to say that in your head, but you do. It's that. It's scarcity. How are you going to bring in your romantic object of your dreams if you are living in such scarcity? You can't. It cannot be done. It cannot be done. You're going to get something maybe, but it's not going to be what it is that you envision for yourself. So instead, we want to live with keeping our focus on surplus. And what I mean by that is if you stop looking at what you don't have and you pay a lot more attention to that which it is you have, and especially that which is so abundant that it's overflowing, you completely change the paradigm of your existence. You know, think of it a little bit as like gratitude. I don't necessarily use the word gratitude because I think it's been, I don't use the word gratitude in my work much because I think it's been watered down. And we don't have, it actually, for my clients, it creates a lot of guilt. All right, and I don't think that's the intention of it. But true gratitude, true appreciation, it's showing that you know that there's a surplus of that which it is that you want in your life. And when you continue to focus on that and you feel so happy and excited about it, you kind of just gurgle into wanting to share it. So that overflow of whatever abundance you have, and you don't have to qualify the value of that which it is that you have an abundance of. Don't qualify it. If it's money, sure, help with money. If it's wisdom, sure, help with wisdom. If it's taxes and an expertise in saving money in the tax return, see me at the end. Whatever it is that you have that you can contribute, that's your surplus. And always see in terms of what I can contribute, what I can put out there, what I've grown, what I have so much of I can't possibly use in this lifetime.
B38.
Okay. 7 left.
3 minutes each.
Okay.
You did the math fast.
All right, this one's, again, this one we're lucky that it's a little bit duplicative of some of the things that we said. We're going to move away from being tense because we're constantly bracing ourselves for the other shoe to drop or something bad's going to happen or, you know, the world's going to explode or my liver's going to crap out on me. Whatever it is, we're always tense, right? Always finding a little something to worry about. Always worrying. Okay, the corollary to that we want to move toward this year is tranquility. Tranquility. And this gives me a quick moment to bring in things about quieting the mind, because I wouldn't be able to give you 52 tools to use this year to help position you for the incoming energy of 2020 if I didn't talk about the essential focus of making sure that you're quieting your mind on a regular basis. And again, you don't have to judge how you do that. However you do it. It could be meditation, it could be yoga, it could be walking the dog, it could be being in nature, it could be Diane, did you quiet your mind when you created love?
Yes.
Yes. It could be, did you quiet your mind when you created soft? Whatever it is that helps you to quiet your mind, do it, and do it on a regular basis. It's not optional. It is not optional, okay? The vessel in which you live will deteriorate and come to an end rapidly if you don't quiet your mind, okay? If you don't quiet your mind, this thing just doesn't work as well. It holds tension and stress, and it moves from optimism to pessimism. All right, this one we have covered, so we'll just put it out there. We're going to move away from being unaccepting and toward being understanding. Okay, in addition to what we talked about earlier about we all matter, we're all going to have to put the effort into carving out our space by earning it. Doesn't matter anything about any of our experiences or what bodies we're born in. understanding also means that regardless of whatever attributes or qualities of people we're moving away from judging, just you don't want to judge them, okay? Like their being or their happiness even, or how they got to be that, or why they're like that, because everybody does have a story. Everybody has such a unique and original way of getting to be where they are on this planet in that second. And those stories, some of them are wildly fantastic, and some of them are very, very, very sad. And yet they're doing the best that they can within the experiences that have landed on them. Those experiences were co-created by the universe specifically for their soul to experience a pathway to enlightenment while they're in the body at this time. So they're purposeful, but that doesn't mean that we have to judge them for the byproduct of how they are expressing themselves now. All right? I don't feel the level of hatred that a lot of people feel, even when people behave so egregiously. I understand that a murderer has a very, very, very long path to get to that point. And I understand that a murderer, if that person had had a different life, if they had had different experiences, different examples, different ability to be loved without condition, different possibility presented to them, if that person had had that path instead, they would not be a murderer. It's that simple. No one wants to be separated from their soul's wisdom. None of us want to be. And I can tell you this as a fact from personal experience, because I didn't like what I became as a byproduct of my childhood. It was not a good picture. I mean, listen, probably one of the better things I did at that time was throwing my ashes out my cigarette butts out the car door. I don't love who I was then, but what I found is that from the pain that I experienced in my childhood, I had this way of like sabotaging things. I just did, because I guess I didn't think I deserved happiness. I didn't deserve to be loved. I didn't feel worthy enough of it. But no one taught me that I was worthy. Right? If they taught me something different than that, then what am I going to reflect out? Right? What else am I going to reflect out? So have more understanding. That was the you. This one we've kind of done already. Instead of looking for the villain, find the victor. It's not that hard. It really isn't. When you're looking for the villain, that means that you're always finding someone to blame. You're always saying it's because of you. But when you're looking for the victor, you're watching the world in terms of celebrating when people brought out the best in themselves and they were dedicated and used effort to let that shine. So stop looking for the villains. Stop looking for things or people to blame. It's good to understand the consequence in your own life about how villains in your life story have created your own separation from your inner knowingness. That's a good thing, because you have to understand that you did not create any pain state that you're in until you make those realizations. So you don't want to beat up on yourself just because you're demonstrating some form of unhappiness. So it's good. I see a villain and how it affected me. I'm not going to blame the villain. Now what I'm going to do is say, now that I recognize that this might not be how I want to live, let me find a victor and find out how that person elevated themselves from their personal life story. And then model that and learn from it. And then become the victor yourself. Become your own personal victor. This next one is very, very easy because we've done it in multiple letters already, but by the time we get toward the end of the year, it's probably a good idea to take another peek at it and look at it one more time. But don't look at the world and your life through weary eyes. Look at the world in wonder. Don't be weary. Be wonderful. Be full of wonder. I like the wonder is one of my favorite words because it really helps us to remember to feel awe. And if it's the one thing that can get you out of a weary spin cycle of the sameness or negativity or being trapped in relationships that aren't supporting you or a job that's not supporting you or whatever it is that you're trapped in, it's definitely wearisome. So instead of peeking at that over and over and over again, find something to feel wonder about and wonder about it. Our imaginations are slightly underutilized in this lifetime, but wonder is the pathway to open up imagination so that we can see ways out of that which is creating weariness in us. So wonder. Okay, so I hate this house and I can't afford a new one. I wonder how I could get a different house, or I wonder how I could make this house one that shines for me. You start with the wonder, and you start with the curiosity, and the other things are just details. But if you come in and say, I hate this house, I've always hated this house, he has a better house, I'll never have that house, it's wearisome and it's going to continue that which it is that you are claiming to not want. I want to make that expand. So have more wonder, more awe, more curiosity, and less wearisome. I know you're saying, what did she do with the X? I know some of you are actually feeling a little bad for me right now. Right?
No.
Listen, okay, I'm allowed one cheat. One cheat. One cheat. We want no x-rays and no xylophones. So I'm giving myself one cheat. We're going to do the big X as the sound. Okay, give me this one. I promise you I'll make it up to you in Grenada. All right, so we're going to move away from X. We're going to move away from excess. And we're going to move toward expunging. Okay, give me the cheese. Give me the cheese. We're going to move away from excess and move toward expunging. When we accumulate too much of anything that doesn't support us, whether it's objects or food or alcohol or X's. Move away from X's. If we are accumulating and holding on to and managing and keeping and protecting that which no longer has any valuable service in our life or any valuable purpose in our lives, it's time to get rid of it. Let it move on. Find a better place for it, a happier home for it. Just let it move on. I think one of the year before us events, I think we focused a lot on letting go, moving on, getting rid of things, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and so on. So yes, I went through a very, very fast version of it, but you just got all of the year before us, 2014, in 1 minute. This is a word I say all the time. I always say the word yummy. I like yummy, and I don't like yucky. So just move away from yucky and move toward yummy. Okay? Pretty easy, right? Yeah. Move away from yucky and move toward yummy. I did it, right? I only have one to go. Only one to go. I did. I even nailed the Y. Or your guides nailed the Y. I know there's probably more profound things I could have done by then, but I need water. Okay.
Turn away, everybody.
All right, what we're going to do now is, because this one's important, you're going to be like amazed at how Z could be so good. Yeah, okay. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to invite Darian and Samantha Leah to come up and perform their song though before we run out of time.
Yeah, we got some jury or after?
So enticing. Yo, we can ride the waves, just go with it. I can take a walk and be happy because the trees with it. Tell me how to roll, breathe, how to flow. 2 minutes, moving too fast, just need to know. I look at myself now and I come a long way. Education, meditation has changed my own ways. Thoughts away, they not look at me. I'm a mantra, I'm a stone, just watch me as a liberty.
No more reason to backtrack.
So what you don't have yet. We live in the present. It's all you want, so you better own it, yeah.
No more reason to backtrack. Don't focus on what you don't have yet.
We're living in the present moment, and it's all you want, so you better own it, yeah. There's always things we want to change. Stop looking back till they can be a better day. Just look around and look about the universe. It's always filling us with love. With love. The love in the hate and the light in the dark. Believe us with God.
Just know about the magic that
Make you who you are. So no more reason to backtrack. Don't focus on what you don't have yet. We're living in the present moment, and it's all you want, so you better own it, yeah. No more reason to backtrack. Don't focus on what you don't have yet. We're living in the present moment, and it's all you want, so you better own it, yeah.
Two hits. Please, guys, I love them. If you like their music, please share it. Let's get all this good stuff out there. Okay, let's support them. I would like to take a moment and just bring up our two artists that are represented here. And let's introduce them. Come on up, Diane. Sorry, we got to come up. I didn't want to tell her because I knew she would refuse. And here we go. Just tell us one little thing about how you created the one that we're putting up for auction for today.
Well, I normally use ceramic tiles for my mosaics, and they are in storage. So I was wondering how I could enter this contest and get my creative juices flowing again. So I came up with paper. So, and love.
Beautiful. Love was born of that.
Yes.
Creation was she was saying how you can turn it at any angle because it's love, and love is movable and changeable. So I wanted to show you that as well. Okay, and because Mark, come up and tell us about your piece if you don't mind. I'll really embarrass you.
Yeah.
Come on. No. Just tell us what inspired you to
So,
create it.
I painted one called Evolve with Love. I don't know if you all saw it online.
Yes.
But what kind of inspired it was just, I saw Evolve and saw the word love in it, kind of if you know, like go backwards a little bit. So that idea just popped in my head, and I just started to paint right away. It was just like when I was inspired. And I changed the painting a lot throughout like the process. I actually worked on it for a few years. And it started off as just like an outline, and then I added some hearts, and then I added some colors, and then the sun in the background. And I don't know, I just kept kind of playing with my nieces and nephews, even dibbled and dabbled in it a little bit. But so I had to make some changes and things. But it's kind of just, I guess, evolve with love. I feel like love is like a very powerful force, and it can be used to kind of move mountains in a sense. So we are looking toward evolution, becoming better people, you know, moving forward, then love is the way to do it.
Woo. This is his painting. What's the size again, Mark?
Oh God, maybe like 12 by 18.
Okay, because he left his painting on the train, what we're going to do is we're going to hold off on the bidding and the finishing of having the winner for both tonight, because I'd like Mark to be able to be a part of it if he can get his work.
Yeah, I could contact Long Island.
Yeah. So what we'll do is somehow, some way, I'll make another tour for Stryker, and Stryker will figure out a way we can bid after we leave here today, whether it's emailing him or you know what? I'll make an executive decision. You could email him Stryker@KarenGarvey.com.
Which train did you leave on? From Manhattan to the... From Jamaica to...
All right, so if you would like to bid on either piece, you can bid at Stryker@KarenGarvey.com. And just put in the subject line to make it easier. Bid on Diane's or bid on Mark's. What I did was I created images of their artwork, and I wanted to give a special gift to each of them. So inside is especially for you, note cards, and envelopes. And the other person could not be here, who also had an honorable mention, so her card is here. I put one of those in there, I put 5 of yours, and then one of the other person's as well, and yours. Okay, so this one is yours, Mark.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. And Diane, yours has 5 of your love in it, and then one of each of the others. And
are we getting one? Oh, no way. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, I want a white one.
Yeah, cards and envelopes, everyone, in a little bit of a random order, but you'll have at least one of everything. Oh, okay? Thank you for being here. So the last word is Z. The last word is, we're going to be moving away from zero. Zero is looking at things through the lens of what is empty, the lens of what is not there, the lens of what it is that we don't have. It's moving away from zero and moving toward what we really want, which is an appreciation again of the abundance and the surplus that is in our life. So again, this is a little bit duplicative of some of the other letters, but what we're going to add this year is zest. We're going to add zest to this year. When I said in the very beginning that this is not a dress rehearsal, that the dress rehearsals are over, you don't have to give yourself permission to live dialed down anymore. Okay? You didn't come here to be invisible. You are not invisible. You are clearly not invisible. So dial up the zest. Dial up the zest in what you do, what you focus on, what you enjoy, what you explore, what you examine, what you say, what you create. Dial up the zest in your life. We are not meant to be boring, and we are not meant to be living at a sum zero. So this year, I am so appreciative of you all participating with me. And even if every single person in this room focuses on the next 52 weeks of focusing on moving away from one letter and moving towards the energy of the second word, if we go out there and do it, and these 80 people go out there and do that, can you imagine the ripples of possibility we can put into the waters of humanity just by us being those 80 ambassadors for shifting from a paradigm that doesn't work to amping up a paradigm that does work? This is the real deal. This is your last practice run this year. Because 2020 and the energy that it brings is coming whether you sit back or you engage. So I look forward to seeing you all in Grenada, and I look, yes?
Just a reminder, everybody's got, there's 2 weeks, there's coupon codes. If you want to do Happy 90, you got 2 weeks to take advantage of those coupon codes. And how much? Make sure I have your email address if you want to be on the reminder. Karen's going to send out reminders and stuff. I have most of your emails if you registered. If you came as a guest, we might not have your email address. If you want to be included on the reminders,
and I will send,
we
will send the email of all of these letters. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful week.